Now, the updates to the sex ed curriculum included things like teaching children about gender identity, consent and social media. It addressed the dangers of sexting and online pornography and sexual harassment. But some parents did not approve, and they said that what this update did was to promote really progressive values and to take over their rights as parents, to teach their children traditional values about sex and monogamy. Some religious organizations especially objected to parts of the curriculum that taught children about different sexual and gender identities and masturbation. For example, one lesson plan designed for children around 11 years old suggested describing masturbation as, quote, something that many people do and find pleasurable. Some Canadians of Middle Eastern and Asian descent also found the curriculum objectionable and counter to their own culture or religion's practices. Other lesson plans for children mentioned concepts, like I said, sexual orientation, children having two mothers or two fathers, and the idea that not everyone's gender corresponds with their sex at birth. Now, less controversial updates included teaching children about the importance of consent in sex and about safety online. So when the curriculum was first announced, it generated really fierce protests in many immigrant communities, especially in Southern Ontario, where hundreds of parents staged a strike pulling their children from school. So we like to think that Canada is a much, much more progressive country overall, but when you come down to it, people also have very, very specific ideas about what their children should and should not be taught regarding sexuality. So sex education seems to be something that everybody wants. Everybody thinks it's a good idea. But when it comes to determining exactly what will comprise sexual education, there's very, very little agreement on what that should include. Okay, now let me just try to pull all of this together momentarily. We tend to make a lot of jokes about youth and teenagers when it comes to love and dating and sexuality and how awkward it is. Like I said, a lot of TVs and movies are based on this, but we've got to remember that for the people going through it, there's nothing funny about it. When a young person says that they're in love, they really truly feel like they're in love. Now, maybe 10 years down the line, they'll look back at themselves and say, yeah, that wasn't love, that was silly. But it's important to remember that at the time, what the person's going through is very, very real to them, and it's important to them. So as you read through this chapter in the textbook and listen to this lecture, get it together, Jennifer, I would encourage you to certainly keep your own experiences in mind, but also view what you're reading and listening to as what you are now, which is an adult, and recognize that there's a very, very different perspective to be taken about sexuality and dating and love during adolescence, and that it really can have a significant effect for those young people.